What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Burning Questions podcast by Fantasy Football Scout. Thank you all for joining. Today we will be looking at the highs and lows of FPL Game Week 6. We have both of them in the room with us today. Sadly, I am on the wrong end of it. Tom has absolutely had a flying week. We will get to that in a moment. If someone in the chat could just give us a little thumbs up that everything is working fine. Of course, I upped the volume last week, so hopefully everything is nice and loud for you as well. Like the stream and subscribe before we get going, and rate 5-star on podcast as well if you are listening. But Tom, you must be in a good mood.
Yeah, I'm in a very good mood. I've got a little bit of a cold, so apologies for that. But yeah, it was a very cold weekend for other reasons as well, because I had Palmer and he absolutely smashed it. And you actually talked me out of captaining him last week, which
Sorry.
I haven't brought up with you. But yeah, I can't complain. I can't complain at all. But yeah, wildcard for you.
Wasn't a good week for my advice in general, it feels like this week. I mean, we can have a look at our teams. Apologies, that is your team for next week. I'll let you go first. I'll let you talk through your 88 points. You've not just overtaken me. You've come from absolute nowhere and absolutely you beat me by 50 points this week. And top of the Burning Questions League.
Yeah, it's mad, really. Like, it's one of those weeks where everything came off. All 7 attackers did something. And yeah, it's just, Saka and Haaland got, 5 points? Salah, Watkins and Palmer got 56. So yeah, that was why I wildcarded in Game Week 3, basically. And yeah, I'm pretty over the moon with it. So I brought in Semenyo as well, and he scored on Monday night. And then Buemo is just feels like he's a cheat code at the minute, scoring every single week. But yeah,
it feels like everyone who went early on Game Week 3 wildcard had 2 weeks of like where it just didn't go well, and then the other 2 weeks where it's been like amazing since then. That's been the same for you, right? Like last week was pretty good, and then this week it's been really good.
Yeah, I mean, I wildcarded at 1.5 million, then I went down to 3 million, then back up to 1.5, and then 200k at the minute. So it's been worth it for sure. This little no Haaland period has worked. But, as we'll come to discuss later, now I have to decide whether I want to get Haaland back.
Yeah, it looks lovely when you have weeks like this, right, where he doesn't do anything and you absolutely fly from it. Yeah, really good week, and I'm hoping that this is going to happen with me and my wild card, right? That I have a week or two of pain, and then it starts to pay the dividends that you hope it will. I think what you said there is like I've said it a few times this week, and I do think it's worth noting that FPL this season is going to be very, very different to how we've had it in the past. We're not going to have the weeks so much where you go up a little bit or you go down a little bit, because there's so many good players that we're all priced out of basically half of them. You can only own 50% of the good players in the game, and we're going to get Son, Foden and De Bruyne added to that list as well. That every week you're either going to fly or you're either going to get battered. There's not going to be much in between, because like this week it was Palmer, Salah, Watkins, and you had all 3 of them, right? And I went Saka, I went Saka and Haaland, and it was the week they didn't do anything. But it could be next week, it could be the other way around, and then they're going to just be such swings this season that we just got to get used to weeks like this, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's why I wildcarded, because I bet that Palmer, Salah and Watkins are going to be great for the next few weeks, and it turns out they have been belatedly, but still. But yeah, and then you look at this week, the 2 best players on paper are Haaland and Saka, I think. Although maybe Palmer's ahead of Saka, but so I need to decide whether I want Haaland, whereas you've already got them in position. So yeah, but it's good. It's good. We got 5 top assets. Yeah. And maybe Foden will come and make it 6 soon.
Well, exactly. Scored last night. I'm sure we'll talk about him at some point. So yeah, let's get it over and done with. I feel like I've been on too many podcasts this week where I've got to talk about the fact that I scored 38 points on my wildcard. If there's anyone in the chat who wants to make me feel better that they scored lower than me, that would be absolutely fantastic. But I don't think there's going to be many. What went right for me this week, I suppose, is the real question. Brian and Buemo, Semenyo and Dominic Solanke. And then on the other side, Luis Diaz decided not to turn up. Bukayo Saka decided not to be involved in 4 Arsenal goals. Chris Wood had a goal ruled out for offside. Rico Lewis had a penalty. Man City conceded a penalty, which I think is dubious. Arsenal decided not to be able to learn how to defend. And then Trent got booked for kicking the ball away, and Erling Haaland, his first blank of the season. Not that I'm bitter or anything, and not that I'm still looking at it already. I'm fine. I promise. I am fine. But yeah, it went very badly. It went very badly. On the bright side, my team looks good going forward, and I gained some value on my wildcard. We're talking about this going into the stream. There's not many things I actually regret on wildcard. Like, if I was wildcarding this week, there are very, very few things that I would probably change. Luis Diaz probably wouldn't be in it now. Smith Rowe probably wouldn't be in it. Chris Wood might not make it, but he got one ruled out for offside. And then Trent. Those are the only 4 players I would change if I was on wildcard this week. And like, Chris Wood is a marginal change. Smith Rowe is only if I needed a bit of money. So it's probably the double Liverpool, which didn't work out quite as I wanted to. And I'm already looking at selling them this week. So it is what it is. Like, the team on paper, when we get to it, looks really nice for next week. But it feels like the story of game week 6 wildcard. I need a good game week 7.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. It's a great team. But the thing, I find the Trent out thing really interesting. Because, like, what's changed in the last few days? You want more money. Well, I suppose it's Palmer. Actually,
yeah, I mean, it's the value thing, really. Like, if I want Palmer, there's not many other places I can get the value that I need to do it. Like, to do Luis Diaz to Palmer, I'm freeing up almost 3 million, and like, there's just nowhere else, unless I wanted to sell Saka or Haaland. There's just nowhere else apart from Trent that would allow me to get to Haaland, Saka, Palmer draft. Yeah. So I don't think I will sell Trent this week. We'll get to my potential transfers, but it boils down to Luis Diaz more than it boils down to Trent. So yeah, Palmer is tempting me for sure. But the reason that I'm not certain on Palmer, we've got the scout fixture ticker up on the right hand side. Chelsea are bottom for fixtures over the next 5 game weeks. Forest at home this week, who have been good defensively so far this season. Then it's Liverpool. Then it's Newcastle. Then it's United away, where they may well have a new manager by then. And Arsenal at home in game week 11. You've got Palmer, and of course you're not going to sell him. But how do you feel on people who don't have Palmer at the moment? Do you think it's too late to buy him? Do you think we should wait until game week 12? Or do you think we just go for it?
Just quickly, how many fixtures have you got on the screen? Just so I'm looking at the
next 5.
Next 5, cool.
Going to 11, fine. Yeah.
Cool. So we are bottom. Do I think it's too late for Palmer? No, not at all. Like, I think he's probably the second best player in the league. I think FPL wise, he's up there with Salah for me.
Who's above him?
Haaland.
That's debate for another day. That
maybe. What you mean best player in the league? Yeah, possibly. Well.
Most informed player in the league, I would say.
I don't want to get accused of being biased after the whole Nkunku debacle.
Yeah, look, he's a quality footballer. I mean, as soon as he becomes an option in FPL, he'll be 100% owned again.
Jackson does his hamstring. Yeah. But yeah, I don't think it's too late. I think there's a genuine conversation now that Salah, like, if you're choosing Salah, if you've got Salah, I don't particularly see why you wouldn't move to Palmer. He's cheaper. I think he's just as good. He's scored more points than him the last year, since, like, it's a big sample size. He's more talismanic, I think. I think Liverpool share the goals around a little bit more than Palmer does with Chelsea. Yeah, and then I guess it's Saka against Palmer. Like, if you have Haaland and Saka like you, are you going to move Saka to Palmer? I think he's a better asset.
I think he's a better asset, but I think he's a better asset, but I just don't think you can make that transfer.
No, but it's like...
Because then next week, Arsenal go away to Bournemouth and Chelsea go away to Liverpool as well. Like,
Nothing scares me with Palmer, though. Like, last year he scored against City, he scored against Arsenal, got a hat-trick against United, scored against Newcastle.
Yeah,
I've read on the Scout website this morning that he averaged last year 8.2 points per game. And against his next opponents, in the same fixtures last year, he averaged 8.1. So... his returns don't dip in harder fixtures. Like,
it's a scary.
He's going to keep getting points. Yeah. Just buy him, basically, in my opinion.
I mean, yeah, like there is, as Asim in the chat is saying, right, there is a little bit of recency bias. If he'd have scored
It's
one,
the last year though. Like
it is, but
he's
like
been doing this since September.
we wouldn't be clamouring for it if Brighton hadn't done what they did defensively and let him score 4, right? If he'd have scored twice, we would be looking at him, but I'm not sure it would be quite the clamour that we are looking. Like Brighton were horrible defensively, and it's one to target for the next few weeks because they're going to be without Van Heck for over a month, it sounds like. So right, their next fixtures of Spurs this week, which we'll talk about. I agree, but I don't think I'd be selling Saka to him. I just look at Saka and Palmer, and I the thought that I could just own them for 30 weeks in the season, and I'm pretty certain that they'd come out with 400 points combined between the two of them. And I just don't need to. That's the position I want to put myself in, I think. Like, I can get to a pretty decent...
How do you feel captaining Saka, though?
I don't think I'd captain Saka.
Yeah, for me, if you have Palmer, that's a genuine captain option. Like, he can... That's another tick in his box, I think. Like, he's just as consistent, but he's more explosive. Yeah,
I completely agree. I think in any week, I think Palmer is a better captain because you have the ability to get that haul like you've got today, and I just don't think you're going to get that haul from Saka quite as much. But I think Arsenal will finish above Chelsea. Saka is also on penalties. Yes, he hasn't done quite as well so far this season, but they have had a difficult opening start to the season, right? Apart from this game just gone, they've had one of the hardest starts to the season out of all the teams. So when when it starts to get easier, yes, they didn't do it. It wasn't Saka at the weekend, but it could easily be him.
I mean, his numbers were incredible, to be fair, Saka. Four big chances created?
He almost got full bonus in a 4-2 win with no attacking return. So, I mean, that just does highlight it. I still don't mind Havertz as an alternative. Do we know when Odegaard is coming back? I feel like there's such mixed reports on it.
It's a few months, like a good month, I think.
Okay. Well, if that's the case, I mean, I don't mind Havertz as an alternative, but I do like Saka Palmer.
Yeah, I think Palmer now is like, you have to treat him in the Salah Haaland bracket, and I don't think you treat Saka in that bracket. That's my perspective.
Yeah,
but partly because of explosiveness, of captaincy, like reliability. Yeah, and talismanic status. I think Palmer's in that top bracket, and I don't think Saka is at the minute.
Okay.
Like, to be honest, I felt unlucky. I only got 25 points. People will hate me for saying that, but
I mean, he could have had more. Didn't he have 2 goals ruled out for offside as well?
Yeah, he scored 1 off the offside. Then he hit the post. He missed a sitter, and he also created 3 big chances as well.
Yeah. I mean, we'll talk about... We've got my team up on screen at the moment, but we will talk about routes to go and buy Palmer this week. And as FPL Victorious' super chat is very relevant, he's not on the Palmer train at the moment. Thoughts on Diaz, Trent to Foden, Gvardiol? Or would you try and make that to be Palmer and a cheaper defender? I mean, I know Foden scored, but I still worry about Foden starts a little bit. Like, I just don't know what's going on between him and Pep. Do you think this is it now for Foden while we're on the talk of the premium midfielders? Do you think he's back in the team? If he is...
This is really bad of me, but is De Bruyne injured? Or
he's still out. He's still out.
Okay, but I
expect we don't see him before the international break.
Okay, so that's 1 game.
Like, their next fixtures are
Fulham at
home, Wolves away, Southampton at home, Bournemouth away, Brighton away. But like, I suppose the question is, once De Bruyne's back, are we certain on Foden's minutes? Like, what has happened there? I don't quite know.
I mean, we're not certain. We can't be certain. But at the same time, like, if you want to go there because you like a little bit of risk, the upside could be absolutely massive. And I think Gvardiol is also going to be great for these next few weeks.
We don't have, so let's actually, while we're talking on Gvardiol, let's have a look. So what we wanted to do first is have a review of the best attacks and best defences so far this season. So we've got 2 very simple tables. Teams ranked by expected goals on the left and teams ranked by expected goals conceded on the right-hand side. So basically you want your teams to be at the top of the list on the left and at the bottom of the list on the right. So the most XG so far this season, Spurs. The least expected goals conceded so far this season, Liverpool. And then you actually have Leicester as the worst on the both both the two lists. However, Leicester, it is worth caveating some of these things with the fixtures, right? Leicester have had a pretty awful start to the season. Like, they played Arsenal at the weekend. They've had a few other games in there which have not been good. So that adds a little bit of a caveat. The other caveat is Liverpool's opening fixtures were amazing. We all know that. That's why we bought all their players. So we are expecting slightly better numbers for Liverpool. But I think the Spurs numbers in these lists are what stands out to me. They're the 5th best defence so far this season and the best attack despite having fixtures against both Arsenal and City in their first 6.
Yeah, that defensive stat has shocked me, to be fair, because I think of Spurs as a poor defence who always concede. But yeah, that's very surprising. And attack-wise, it doesn't surprise me completely. But yeah, City, Chelsea, Liverpool up there. Arsenal attack, slightly disappointing maybe.
I know, but again, like,
that's
they've
an
had
Odegaard thing, or
Spurs, City, Villa in their first 6. I think it's a little bit of a fixtures thing.
2 red cards as well, actually.
2 red cards, yeah. And like, their defence has not been quite as good, but still, with those fixtures and no Odegaard and no Rice for 1 game and 2 games with 10 men, to still only have 6.7 expected goals conceded, I am still very comfortable on double defence.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's really Spurs that stand out for me, and we'll talk a lot about Spurs because
and they've got the fixtures as well.
Exactly. Brighton away, West Ham at home, Palace away, Villa at home, Ipswich at home. And already they are the highest expected goals so far this season.
How does that make you feel as a Solanke owner? You feel happy?
It makes me...
I'm jealous.
Oh, was it not? Who did Spurs play? Tony's saying it wasn't City. Who did they play? They had 2 games back-to-back, which were quite difficult. I remember from owning Pedro Porro at the start. Oh, it was Newcastle away.
Newcastle.
Oh, it was Newcastle. Yeah, it makes me feel good as a Solanke owner. I do wonder if he is actually the best option for Spurs or not, though, and whether there are other options that we should be looking at. The thing on Solanke, he scored at the weekend and no bonus and wasn't like anywhere near it. Now, I'm hoping it was just a slight, extreme circumstances where Brennan Johnson got a double return, Van der Ven got a clean sheet and an attacking return. That's why he wasn't in the bonus. He actually missed some big chances as well. I think he's right up there for big chances missed so far this season. So I'm very happy with Solanke, and I think he'll get a lot of chances over this run of games. So I look at Brighton this weekend without Van Heck and think there is goals in that. But I don't know if they're going to be Solanke. Like, a lot of the goals people are scoring against Brighton at the moment are players running in behind. So if Son is available, I think Son looks quite nice for this weekend. But I don't love him as a long-term pick. Let me get the Spurs data up because they are one of the topics we want to talk about for today's video. So what we've got is just...
on that, if Brighton play like they did against Chelsea, the amount of times they passed the ball straight to the striker and Jackson got in, like, Solanke will have an absolute field day. Yeah,
that's true. So let's have a look. This is the relevant Spurs assets, I would say, ranked by XGI or non-penalty XGI because they haven't had a penalty so far this season. Number 1 is James Maddison with 4.8. Dominic Solanke number 2 with 3.75. Brennan Johnson third with 2.7. Then it's Son, but it's of course noting that Son hasn't played every game. Then it's Kulusevski. Then it's looking at the defenders. Porro at 1.3. Van der Ven at 0.7 and Udogie in at 0.3. If we start defensively, because the attack is really what we want to talk about, how do you feel on a Porro versus Van der Ven? So my take on it is, while they're playing both Maddison and Kulusevski, there's no point buying Porro over Van der Ven. He just doesn't get in the positions we want him to be in while they're playing both Maddison and Kulu, because Kulu just takes up the positions that Porro's meant to be getting in.
Yeah, I mean, the flip side is that he's doubled Van der Ven's XG for 1 million more. So could it be worth it? I mean, he can always score a goal out of nothing, Porro. He loves a long shot.
Yeah.
But is it worth it with what else you actually want? Like, you're talking about, not you personally, but people want Palmer, Arsenal defence, Gvardiol's back. It's probably not worth the money when you compare it with other things.
what I just want to check, I believe a lot of that XG for Porro came in the 2 games at the start of the season where they didn't play this double 8. So yeah, he got against in the first. When did they start it? I think it was so the last 3 games. He's had a total of like what's that 0.4 XGI over the past 3 games, and it has massively dried up. Like the first few games, like he got 0.4 in the Newcastle game alone. He got 0.4 against Leicester alone. So it's definitely getting less. And I just don't know if he's worth 5.5 with the way that Spurs are playing. And when Maddison's in the team, right, he doesn't take any set pieces.
That is a very good point there. What do you think about Maddison being top? Like 2 of that came in 1 game.
Yeah.
But like, and Son being 4th. Like, I know you said Son hasn't started every game, but I don't think Johnson has either, has he?
I mean, Son is not an asset for me. Like 10 million for Son when you're paying $500,000 more for Palmer. He's the same price as Saka. He's $1 million more than Foden is now, or something like that. The only saving grace I think Son has is he might be on penalties, but we don't know that for sure. I expect Son to be on pens, but would you be surprised if Son, as the type of person he is, gave Solanke pens? I mean, if Spurs get a pen and Solanke takes it, Solanke at 7.5 then suddenly looks like incredible value. Like he is, I know Maddison's data all came in 1 game, but Solanke to be putting up like almost 4 XGI so far this season is very impressive. I don't think I'd be buying Son. Well, I definitely wouldn't be buying Son. I'm not sure I'd be buying Maddison either. I think I was to go Brennan Johnson. Maybe that's recency bias. You're looking at one this week, maybe. Yeah. How do you feel on them? Any love for Kulu?
Not really. Maybe it's just my perception of him, but I think of him as more of like a good footballer as opposed to an FPL asset. Mm-hmm. And he does sometimes randomly like drop out the team, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Because like you saying, if they play the 8s, well, what if they bring Salah in or?
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I was set on Maddison to be fair because of his numbers, but I was speaking to Sam, FPL family, and a Spurs fan, and she without hesitation said Brennan Johnson over Maddison. I guess his goals via assists a little bit, isn't it? Johnson's always at the back post.
You're probably going to get more assists. You're probably going to get more returns from Maddison, but over 50% of those will be assists, whereas Brennan Johnson will get less returns, but 75% will be goals. So
yeah,
there's a million price in it, and if you are trying to get to a Saka, Palmer, Salah draft or a Haaland draft, then that goes quite a long way, I would probably say. I do want to do my best to try and put recency bias out of it. Like this time last week it was Maddison, and now this week it's Brennan Johnson, right? So things are very up and down in this Spurs team, and you don't naturally know who it's going to be that gets returns. And next week it could be Kulusevski that hauls, right? I do think I wouldn't go Kulu though. He does feel like the first one that might drop if they change their system. I do feel like Maddison and Brennan feel nailed, but I don't think they'll change the system. I think it will stay as it is.
Johnson's minutes, though, I'm just looking at 45, 67, 69, 75, compared to Maddison, 76, 87, 79, 81. So you're paying for a few more minutes as well.
And you're paying for set pieces and stuff like that. And 4 goals in 4 games for Brennan Johnson, but that can't happen every week, presumably.
Yeah. I think I still prefer James Maddison, just as like a more well-rounded FPL asset. He's got more minutes, set pieces, more routes to returns. I think he's my current favourite. Even
despite the value difference?
Yeah, I think so, because I know you said if you want Saka, Palmer, Haaland, but if I do that, I'm not getting Saka, basically. I'd have to sell Trent anyway.
How was Kulu's visit? I mean, this is the thing on Kulu, right? He's played 90 in the past 4 games. Whereas Maddison and Brennan Johnson have both being subbed off.
Well, maybe we need to update our perceptions on Kulusevski.
Like, he feels, as someone in Dr. James has just said in the chat, Kulu can run for 90 minutes, right? So there is a perception that Kulusevski might not be as nailed, but when he starts games, they don't take him off. His fitness is top notch. His underlying data is also not bad, 0.43 XGI per 90. He's also didn't start the first game against Leicester and only played 60 against Everton in game week 2 and has played 90 minutes since. So it feels a real coin toss, and it feels like one of those that every week Spurs are going to score 3 or 4 goals or 2 or 3 goals, and it's going to be someone different every single week. You just have to. Yeah. It feels like one of those. You've got to pick one and hold your nerve on it.
Or do you go 2?
I mean, if you've got enough space in your midfield, fine.
I meant with Solanke and the midfielder.
Yeah, I think a few people in the chat are saying this, that Solanke is the best for now, and Son isn't a good option because Solanke's so much cheaper. Like, Solanke was priced as a Bournemouth asset, and now he's playing up front for Spurs. And we all thought going into the start of the season he would be a good buy, and I think we're seeing that. So I think I prefer Solanke over the rest of them.
Yeah, because I mean, I've got Jackson, and like that, I think that would be a luxury swap that I would make. I don't have the transfers to do it, but for sure, I think he's the best sort of second striker at the minute.
So I probably would put. Maybe I need to update my thoughts on Kulusevski. He has been. I mean, 11 points. I do still think Kulusevski is a fantastic footballer, but not the FPL asset. I still think I'd go Brennan Johnson 1, just because I'd want the money for something else. Maddison and Kulu are then very close in second in terms of the midfielders, but I'd put Solanke above all of them.
Yeah, interesting. I think I'm Maddison Johnson. Solanke, Maddison Johnson, I think.
Solanke, Maddison, Johnson. Okay, interesting. So no Kulu in the top, despite those minutes for them. Cool. The next thing we wanted to have a look at is cheap players. All the talk at the moment, every week, is about which of this long list of cheap players do we want for our team. So what we've got is basically anyone under 6.5 million. So that includes defenders. I don't think there's any defenders in this list. No. Ranked by expected goal involvement, XGI so far this season. Number 1 on the list, the man with a brace this week that has already double risen in price this week, is Dwight McNeil. 3.5 expected goal involvement so far this season. Fixtures for them, let me put them back up on screen, look really nice. They are, I think, 5th, Newcastle at home, Ipswich away, Fulham at home, Southampton away, West Ham away. Is Dwight McNeil just the best of that midfield bunch now?
I'm worried about the sustainability of McNeil. Like, he scores wonder goals, but his currency is assists, I think.
Yeah.
You know, I'm looking at his expected goal numbers. His best expected goal number this season is a quarter of a goal. And that was this week.
And he scored
twice. Before that, his best was 0.13. And before that, it was 0.06. Like that. Yeah. You're not buying, if you're blind looking at numbers, you're not buying this player.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I think there's better 5 million mids. I think Semenyo, like, is a genuine goal threat. Most shots this season. And who else? And Rodgers. I don't particularly think Rodgers has done anything wrong, and his fixtures are much better. But then they're not much better. They're good. They're still really good.
Yeah, the thing on Semenyo looks so good on Monday night, but they play Arsenal, Villa away, City away in their next 4. That puts me off buying Semenyo now. I've got him in my team and I'll hold him through those fixtures, but I don't think I'd be buying Semenyo now. I don't think I'd be buying Rodgers now. And maybe that's biased because I didn't include him in my wildcard, but I just look at like United, Fulham away, Bournemouth at home's fine, Spurs away, Liverpool away. We also saw him be slightly more of a minutes risk. I mean, we know he apparently had a tight hamstring, but that also slightly concerns me. I think Rodgers is a fine hold, and I think Semenyo is as well, but I'm not sure I'd be buying those two this week or over the next couple either.
I think if you can rotate it, you can make it work, but I'm just not convinced by McNeil. Maybe that's me, but he scored 2 wonder goals and his numbers are not that good. So... Yeah. You're looking for assists.
Interesting. I think he's a great buy, but maybe I'm just seeing the points that he's done over the past couple of weeks and thinking that's it. But the fixtures are there to go with it. So it feels like last week would have been the perfect opportunity to buy him, but this week feels like an equally good. If you didn't buy him last week, this is the next best time to buy him. People
Yeah.
are just saying you would just buy Rodgers over him. And maybe I made a mistake there.
I think Villa are just a better team, and Rodgers is just like full of confidence, playing really, really well. He's so important. Like, I know he came off early before, but he'd played 90 minutes in every game before that. And I get arguably that just shows his importance that they took him off to protect him ahead of Bayern Munich.
Yeah. I mean, he did get absolutely gifted his goal at the weekend, though. Greaves with a...
He took it well. Took it really well.
He took it really well, but if Greaves had cleared it anywhere sensible, we wouldn't
Don't
be
say
sat
that.
here.
I don't want Greaves getting dropped.
He's not getting dropped, but he just went to clear it and cleared it straight to Rodgers, sat straight in the middle of the box, stood next to Watkins. They did a little 1-2 because they wanted Watkins to get the FPL assist and then put it in the back of the net.
Rodgers owns Watkins.
Yeah, exactly. And Greaves owns them both, apparently. A few other players on this list I just want to talk about. I mean, Harvey Barnes is quite high up this list. He's 6.5 though, so presumably there's no love for him.
I love Harvey Barnes as an FPL asset, but yeah, you probably can't go there just yet.
You've got a few of the cheap forwards in there as well. Let's just cover off those. So if you're looking at the likes of Delap, you've got Vardy in there, and then you've got Calvert-Lewin. All of these cheap options, right? You've also got Chris Wood quite high up. Actually, I think the highest of those cheap forwards is Chris Wood, but he's up to 6.2 million now. The other one actually is Matheus Cunha.
Yeah, I love Cunha.
Yeah,
Such a good player.
The fixtures: Brentford away, City at home, Brighton away, Palace at home, Southampton at home. From game week 9, they do start a really, really nice run. He's a million more than someone like a Delap, but we're expecting that he'll be on penalties. He has been an FPL asset in the past as well. I'm a big fan of Cunha at 6.5, I think. But he's slightly more expensive.
Yeah, he's a player strongly on radar for me. I think if you're going beyond that, I really like Delap. I think the goals he scored against Villa were like really encouraging. The fact that he's creating them himself, like he looks like he's a quality above that Ipswich side.
Yeah,
which was encouraging. And yeah, he's obviously really cheap. I think Vardy has sort of gone off the radar a little bit. Would it be too long until he comes out the team? Maybe he stops scoring.
I mean, they signed Edouard, didn't they?
Yeah, wouldn't overly shock me, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, I'm slightly interested in Leicester by a player quite low down on this list, but he is actually above Jamie Vardy, and he's only started 3 games, and that's Mavididi. Of course, was very good for them. I seem to just every week be pushing this Mavididi narrative, and I don't quite know.
Yeah, we had this
2
weeks ago,
and I almost had him on wildcard, and I kind of wish I went with him over Smith Rowe now. But like they're top of the fixture ticket for the next 5, right? Bournemouth at home, Southampton away, Forest at home, Ipswich away, United away. Like there's a nice run there. He's very focal to what they do going forward. So he's only 5.3. I think there's worse options.
Yeah, Bournemouth, Southampton. Yeah.
One final name for the list is not actually one on here. Is Carvalho of Brentford. So he's 4.8. So he's cheaper than most of these. And he's getting, like, everyone's looking at Dibbling, right? But Dibbling is 4.6. And I'd much rather Carvalho than Dibbling, I think, given one plays for Brentford and one plays for Southampton. He looks pretty nailed. Played 85 again this weekend. Got the assist for the Mbeumo goal. Maybe people don't love the double up on Brentford, but how do you feel on Carvalho as a 4.8 option?
Well, yeah, why not? I mean, everyone owns Brian Mbeumo, so do you want to get an edge on those good fixtures? 5 great games, yeah, go for it. I think it's a great pick. Better than Dibbling, yeah, I agree. Better team, probably will score more goals. And Southampton just seem all over the place at the minute. Having said that, I did want to shout out Ross Stewart because I think he's going to start this week, and he's only 4.5, so that's probably one to just watch. Because he came on at half time and the manager said, you know, I need to put faith in some of the guys that came on at half time and they did a lot better. So I think he'll start. And obviously if he scores, then that'll be a bandwagon, the cheapest striker in the game. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're on wildcard this week and you're going for a 4.5 forward, he's definitely the one that because even if he doesn't start, we knew he was the one at the start of the season that was likely to get the most minutes, even if it was off the bench. So I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. So
can we mention Jadon Sancho, please?
Why?
Because he looks unbelievably good. Like watching him at Stamford Bridge on Saturday, he was 6.4, 2% owned. Like, for me,
Yeah.
he looks red hot right now. I just
With
wanted to
those
shout him out. I think he's a great differential.
with those fixtures, would you go there?
Probably not, but if you want a differential,
So would you buy Brennan Johnson or Jadon Sancho this week? There we go. Let's make it price comparable.
now I have to pick a Spurs player now. Yeah, I'd probably
Yeah.
buy Brennan Johnson, but I just wanted to shout out Sancho
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I thought he was absolutely brilliant on Saturday. Like, he's just so direct, gets people off their seat. He was taking on his fullback at every opportunity.
Yeah.
And obviously, we know that if he's at his best, he's a very, very high ceiling
Yeah.
player.
Okay. So your favourite cheap forwards to buy for the next few weeks?
To buy for the next few
And
weeks.
then your favourite cheap midfielder as well. My favourite cheap midfielder is McNeil if you can buy him. But I don't mind Carvalho at 4.8 if you need someone cheaper. And up front, I like Cunha if you can afford it. I still like Calvert-Lewin. I still like Calvert-Lewin a lot. And then Delap if you need a cheaper option.
Yeah. What about, do you like Souček? 5 mil? Decent fixtures?
No, I
Oh,
mean,
you
I
can
know
say no.
I mean, the answer is no. Like, I know we owned him a few seasons ago, and he just kept scoring every week, and it was like, why is Souček scoring? And we might see that again. But West Ham feel like a team all over the place at the moment, and I don't really want to invest in that. I'd rather Carvalho, for example, and save 0.2.
Yeah. Don't mind Bowen if you're looking different this week, but yeah, he's a bit more expensive. But favourite forwards is Calvert-Lewin for me, still the best to buy. And then still don't mind Chris Wood if he's going to keep playing, although Awani starting is a little bit concerning, maybe.
They played 2 up top. I think it was just tactical. I'd be surprised if Chris Wood comes out of the team.
Yeah, I think DCL and Cunha, I think I'll be owning Cunha pretty soon. I can see myself doing Jackson to Cunha in a few weeks. And then midfielders, I think it's, in this list, I think Brennan Johnson is the top target. Yeah. Carvalho if you need money. And yeah, I don't mind Mavadidi as well. Really good fixtures.
Nice. So just to finish up before we have a look at our teams, I want to talk defence with you. So we've put back on the screen the teams ranked by expected goals conceded. So the first thing I think we want to cover is Rico Lewis, right? 4.7 million. Generally, I want to have a conversation about cheap defenders, but I think we'll start by having a little discussion about Gvardiol against Rico Lewis. For me, they're the only 2 City defenders I would consider. Like, you can have a look at a Kanji, you can have a look at a Diaz, but for me, like, you're either paying the money for Gvardiol, or if you're not, you're paying the Rico Lewis money. So Gvardiol was the one who got the goal. They both started. Rico Lewis got the assist in the Champions League last night. They both started that. How do you feel on Rico Lewis's minutes going forward?
It's just like, it's just hard to say, isn't it? Like, I think we have to appreciate him compared to last season is a different story. Like, he is probably in Man City's best team now.
Yeah.
I think, like, if it's Champions League final tomorrow, I think he plays. Kyle Walker's only getting older, obviously. I know they both started, and you'd think that's going to happen a little bit more now that Rodri's injured. So Lewis has sort of got 2 routes into. He's there in 2 scenarios. He's there in the, in the Rodri replacement scenario, and he's also there in the right back scenario as well, which is obviously better because he'll get more minutes. But I just. Also, their clean sheet record, like, they always seem to concede.
Yeah, they do. Has it happened again at the weekend?
It's just, and it happens too much to be a coincidence. Like, do they have a concentration issue? Do they?
Yeah.
Is Edison actually the weak link? I think there's actually a question there for a football podcast, but he doesn't save as many shots as he should do. But no clean sheets in 5. And their expected goals conceded is 1.5, 0.6, 1, 0.7.
The second best
and
defense
even
in the
their
league.
their clean sheet against Chelsea, they conceded an expected goal as well.
Yeah. So do you not like the Lewis pick?
I think I to be honest, not really. No, not really.
So with that in mind, do you not like the Gvardiol pick as well? Because he's 6 million.
He is, but he is like a level above, I think, attacking wise. Like to be honest, I wouldn't get any of them, and I don't have
Okay.
any of them, and I don't really plan to buy any of them because I just
Okay.
don't. And it would be so Pep, like what he said. Lewis yesterday was like the best player in the world, and now he will be benched on Saturday.
He said, the way Rico is playing, there are no words. He does everything.
Yeah,
Yeah, watch him be benched at the weekend.
yeah. I mean, you obviously went for Lewis on wildcard, so you thought it was worth the risk, but it also depends who you've got as well.
I would do exactly the same thing again if I had the choice
Yeah.
now, like without hesitation. I would think I'd be more likely to pick Lewis now than I would be a week ago. So my opinion on Lewis is, if I get returns from a 4.5 defender, it feels more luck than judgment every week. Like if I'm playing a 4.5 defender and they get a return, I feel lucky that that defender has got a return, right? Whereas I feel like if I'm playing Rico Lewis and he gets returns, that's not luck. That's because Rico Lewis is a incredible footballer who's playing in midfield for Manchester City, and I'm taking that gamble at 4.7. I just like it over every other 4.5 in the game, and I just think it's worth the gamble. Like, yes, okay, 8 Nori scored. Yes, you get a clean sheet, but the clean sheets for those 4.5 defenders are difficult to predict. Like, they're not predicted to keep clean sheets in any game. Like, it's always under 50%. And although City concede stupid goals, they do have Fulham, Wolves, Southampton, Bournemouth, Brighton as their next 5. And like, he has had, another assist in the Champions League. I just think it's worth the gamble. If he was 5 and you're competing with slightly more, if he was 5.5, then I get it. But I don't see others at his price that are worth are worth gambling on. Like when you have a strong bench, if you don't have a strong bench and you don't want to take the risk, then fine. But I mean, chances are if he doesn't start, he's probably coming on anyway. So although the strong bench is nice in practice, I just don't see another 4.5 defender who I prefer over him. The upside just feels there. Whereas if I get lots of points from a cheap defender that isn't him, it feels like that will be luck rather than judgment, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, I wouldn't begrudge anyone picking him, but I just personally, for me, it's actually really hard. Like I could probably talk myself into him, but like no one's keeping clean sheets, so I guess what's the harm in spending that money on?
I suppose the question is, right, if you let's say you've got 4.7 for a defender,
Yeah,
and you're looking at this defensive data, it's then where are you going? Like I find cheap defenders really difficult, and I might have to buy one this week. And I find it really difficult. Like, is it Van der Ven? Is it those Spurs? Is it that Spurs data? You've got Aston Villa up there. You've got Forest up there, but Fulham up there. But those 3 teams are up there because their fixtures have been good for the start of the season. Chelsea are about to go on a difficult run. Bournemouth are about to start a difficult run. Palace, we don't really want to go and own, and their defenders are too expensive. Newcastle, who on earth is going to start at left back? You can't buy Lewis Hall. You're probably not going to buy Dan Burn. Are you going to buy 8 Nori? So it's just, I don't see an alternative to Rico Lewis.
Leif Davis.
Yeah, but yes, but they do have the 3rd worst defence in the league so far this season. I mean, their fixtures are good. West Ham away, Everton at home, Brentford away, Leicester at home. But my thing with him is, if he ever keeps a clean sheet, it feels like more luck than judgment. Like even the clean sheet they kept the other week was because Muric was on an absolute mission to not concede a goal that day. So, like, I am relying on him to get attacking returns, which he absolutely has the ability to do. But then loads of us have Greaves, so are we really doubling up on Ipswich defence?
That is a good point. I mean,
So,
yeah.
Is it Van der Ven? Like, is he just the best of a bad bunch now?
No one's keeping clean sheets, are they? There's not like a lower half team that's winning 1-0 that you can hang your hat on, which is frustrating. But or is it? Do you just go Van der Berg?
Do we know he's nailed? Like, I just don't know the answer, because eventually, so if I get, my screens are in a really weird
We need a back
place.
4 with fit fullbacks.
Well, exactly, and
But their fullbacks are all injured, aren't they?
yeah, but they're all, like, if you go on the FPL website, they're all expected returns of, like, let's go all players. Let's have a look at Brentford. So Rico Henry I mean, whenever he'll be back, he's not expected
But
back.
he needs. I don't think you can bring him
Yeah.
in. I think, and Aaron Hickey's out for ages. I think.
Yeah, Roslev, but then he didn't play, so he's
fit, but he's just not very good. I don't think.
So is Van der Berg now just going to start? But I feel like I don't know with enough confidence to go and buy him.
Yeah,
that's my concern. That's my issue with Van der Berg.
I mean, we've basically ruled out to be honest, I think on this list, I think you've got Leif Davis you can consider, Van de Ven you can consider, Mikalenko you can consider because Brandtwaite's back. And then 8 Nori, that's 4, and then Rico Lewis for 5. I think you've got 5 cheap defenders there that you can consider. And yeah, to be fair, maybe Rico Lewis is top of that list.
I mean, straight away, Mikalenko, right? Their defensive numbers were better at the weekend as soon as Brandtwaite stepped back in the team. Only 0.5 expected goals conceded against Crystal Palace, and then they get their first win of the season. There's no coincidence that that's happened the week that Brandtwaite comes back in. So I don't mind Mikalenko at his price, but that's why I always just go back to Rico Lewis, that I don't like any of the others nearly as much. Like if I have to downgrade Trent to get Palmer in, I have like 4.5 for a defender, and I'm making this decision whilst already owning Mikalenko and Rico Lewis. So it's not an easy choice at all for those cheap defenders.
There is a scenario that I need a 4.5 defender this week, and I think I would pick Mikalenko
over Van de Ven.
Probably. I think I know Spurs' data is good, but defensively they're not. Like, they always concede. Like, Ange Postecoglou is not a manager who keeps loads of clean sheets.
No.
Maybe that's just me ignoring the data and saying what my narrative says it is, but I don't know. Do you actually trust Spurs' defence?
No.
Yeah. So
and like he's up there because he's got 2 assists, but he's got 2 assists because he's run 50 yards from the halfway line with the ball. And I'm like, this just isn't sustainable. Surely, eventually teams are not going to let him do like what he did exactly against Man United.
Someone take him down.
Like, it's the second time. He did it earlier on in the season and then passed it to Son, and Son scored. Like, surely we don't have that for the next... surely it doesn't keep happening. So
Mikalenko's 4.3 as well.
Yeah, I like Mikalenko as a cheap option, but again, I've already owned him, and I already own Rico Lewis, and I'm looking for someone else on this list, and I just can't pick one. So I'm going to end up...
Davis, I think.
But
I think
got
you go
Greaves.
Leif Davis. Yeah, but you're not going to play Greaves, are you? So
no. Maybe I go Leif Davis. Maybe I go... I don't know. The other one I wonder about still is Mazraoui if they sack Ten Hag.
But we're tipping Man United defenders.
But then the only issue with that is I like Mazraoui because Ten Hag has an affiliation to him, so he's going to play him. Whereas I don't know the new manager is going to love him like as much, and it could easily be that he just suddenly comes out of the team.
I mean, we do joke, but United have kept 3 clean sheets and their fixtures are quite good.
Well, this is it. Like, I feel like they're one of those teams that just don't look good and somehow win games with a clean sheet. But please let us know in the chat your top 3 cheap defenders, because I think we're saying Rico Lewis and Mikalenko are 1 and 2. So outside of that, please let us know in the chat who you would put up there.
People say Moreno, Forest.
Yeah. Their fixtures, though.
They got 4 decent fixtures. Oh no, Chelsea first. Why is Chelsea? That is too blue on the ticker.
We need to adjust that ticker. Yeah, I like Forest. The only issue is that their fixtures definitely get worse before they get better. So Moreno, I don't mind, and he's only 4.4. But he got hooked at half-time against Brighton. They have 3 good games, but then it's Newcastle, Arsenal, Ipswich, City, United, Villa, Brentford away, Spurs at home. They then go on a horrible run of defensive fixtures. So
someone's saying Kanate, how much is he? 5.2.
5.2. Yeah. I don't mind that.
Could have been Kwanzaa.
Should have been. Well, Kwanzaa's 4.1 now, isn't he?
Jesus.
The day Jackson and Kanate get injured, we'll suddenly have so much money because we'll all buy Nkunku and Gerald Kwanzaa for our teams. Right. That is all
Eight
for the
Nori
whole...
as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
just finished with him. I don't think he's a bad buy at all. Eight Nori.
How do you feel about Wolves defensively, though?
I think it's hard to tell because they've had the worst fixtures.
Yeah.
I mean they.
I mean, they've had
Yeah, I mean they've played
1.58.
Chelsea, Arsenal, Villa, Liverpool, and Newcastle. And in the weeks to come, they've got Brentford, Brighton, Southampton, Palace, Fulham, Bournemouth, Everton, Ipswich, Leicester. So
I don't mind that.
yeah,
I don't mind that. But the issue is then it's like Brentford away this week. It's like, oh, it's green on the ticker, but then I'm like, that's not great either. Like
No.
it's not a good fixture. And then it's City, and then it's away at Brighton, and I'm like, well, I don't expect a clean sheet in any of those. So maybe from
what
game week
about
10.
our friend Robinson? Clean sheet on the weekend.
Yeah, I mean he's like 4.87 now, isn't he? 4.8. So with their run of fixtures as well, I just find that difficult. Like City, Villa, like Everton away, Brentford. I just don't see that many clean sheets in there. But I didn't see one this weekend, so I don't. I think he's now that he's risen in price. If you've got value in him, then fine. But if you don't, then yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So that is all for the hot topics. Let's have a look at our teams. We're going to start with yours. So we'll get your team up for next week. If you want to read it out for the people on podcast, and then any potential transfer plans this week. Of course, there is no Erling Haaland in this team. Do you have a plan to buy him?
I do. I just want to ask the chat. Tell me if you think I need Haaland this week, or you think Captain Palmer, you can get away with it. And then I'll read it out briefly. So we have got Flecken in goal, Saliba, Trent, and Gabriel. Currently Palmer captain, but that obviously could change. Salah, Mbuemo, Semenyo, Rogers, Watkins, and Jackson. And then on the bench, I've got João Pedro, Greaves, and Lewis Dunk. So the bench, you can just ignore that. The plan is, well, the plan always has been to reassess Haaland this week. My old plan, I had Saka by now, but I don't because I basically went Palmer instead. Thank goodness. So yeah, my plan would be Salah to Maddison or Johnson, and then Watkins up to Haaland. So I can do that for free. Then obviously captain Haaland. The plan that you suggested to me to take a hit is to do Trent to a 4.5, and then I can get Saka for Salah and Haaland for Watkins. The thing with Haaland is I know I need him, and in game week 9 he will be in my team 100%, and I'm probably going to triple captain him in game week 9, to be honest.
Interesting.
It's just this week. Someone saying Captain Watkins. Yeah, like Watkins this week for me, that screams goal and assist. Man United at home, like Watkins.
Please not again. I just, why am I always backing United to dig me out of holes in FPL at the moment? It feels like not a sensible place to be.
It's really hard to sell Watkins and Salah in a week.
Yeah, I agree.
But I'm captaining Haaland, home fixture, where there's a good chance he gets a brace. So
it's the captaincy thing, right? Because if Haaland, let's say Haaland plays and he scores twice, that's 4 goals. You need your captain and those other players to score 4 goals combined. So it's just, if you think your captain, I mean, all you need is your captain to get a return, and then you're probably better off not buying him. So it's just if you have someone you're confident on for captaincy, and if you think Watkins will do that, then I don't think you buy him this week. But as you say, week 9.
I mean, I've had on this team, there's been a week where Haaland scored a hat-trick and Salah, Palmer, Watkins did enough, and I held rank. But it's just whether I want to subject myself to this, because it's not that fun, to be fair.
No, I know what you mean.
What would you do? Would you get Haaland? But then the flip side is next week I have 3 free transfers.
Yeah, I don't think I'd do it.
And then João Pedro, there's a question of João Pedro as well. Like what's
the
he
issue
doing?
The issue you've got, right, is next week.
Yeah, my team looks horrific for next week.
So you've got double Chelsea against Liverpool. You've got Salah and Trent against Chelsea. You've got Semenyo against Arsenal. Who have Watkins and Rogers have got a good fixture, but you probably would have to sell Watkins to get Haaland anyway, so you probably don't. Who have they got? Fulham away. You got
I
João
wouldn't have
Pedro.
Salah against Chelsea as well if I do that.
I mean, I don't think you need it this week, but I do then think next week you've got a few transfers. Like you might be looking.
I would have 3 then, and I could take a hit for 4.
Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of regret buying Saliba a little bit last week.
I don't think so. I set and forget that for the rest of the season.
But now there's the question: is Gvardiol better than Saliba? Like, I think he probably is.
I mean,
yeah, it's tricky.
What I would look at like next week would be Trent. The thing is, like next week you could do Trent, Salah, Watkins, and another, so like a João Pedro, and could you get like Rico Lewis instead of that 4.5 defender if you do something different? I think I'd probably not do it this week, and I would probably do 4 next week.
Yeah, that's interesting. Would you just want to overtake me? I don't know, but
like selling Salah, Watkins, Trent for a hit just to buy Haaland, it just doesn't feel right.
I don't think I'll do the Trent thing. I think it's Salah and Watkins to Maddison and Haaland.
Yeah, I just don't think that's better. I just don't. I mean, it is the captaincy thing, right? But
it's Cole Palmer, like best player in the world. I've got to back him, surely.
Out of interest, does that leave you any money in the bank?
What
Maddison move.
The Maddison move.
Because if you left money, if you went Brennan Johnson, you could do João Pedro to Cunha.
That's a good point.
But then he has Man City next week.
The Maddison move leaves me 0.1.
It's just that's why I say Brennan Johnson's higher in my list than Maddison, because that million then suddenly does a lot elsewhere.
Yeah, and then I think I have a Jackson conversation as well at some point. Yeah, my team could do the wildcard actually next week.
Yeah, but after that, it's just 1 week where you've got a couple of clashing fixtures is all. So you think you'll probably roll?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. But we'll see.
Let's have a look at mine. So this was the reason I'm not panicking on my wildcard yet. We have David Raya in goal. We have Trent, Gabriel, Rico Lewis, and Burmo, Saka, Semenyo, Luis Diaz, Haaland, Chris Wood, and Dominic Solanke. Now, the difficult fixture on paper is Chris Wood at Chelsea, but you did watch us defend against Brighton, right? Like trying to watch our centre-backs play out from the back and watch Sanchez play out from the back. As much as we might score 4 goals, I don't think...
I feel for Sanchez so much. I think the home crowd does him absolutely no favours, and it's no coincidence his best games are away from home because he was telling the fans to calm down at the weekend as well. I feel for him a lot. But I
have no problem with playing Chris Wood away at Chelsea. Absolutely no problem in that at all. I expect we'll win that game, but I think we'll probably concede a goal along the way. The only issue I have in my team is Luis Diaz, and if he's going to start this week. And that is where the Palmer plan comes in. So let's say he starts in the Champions League tonight. They're also the 12:30 kickoff. And if Luis Diaz is not going to start against Palace, that's when I have to find a route to go and buy Cole Palmer, I think. So I would do Luis Diaz to Palmer, Trent to probably Van de Ven. And then I'm 0.3 short of that. So I can do Smith Rowe to Mavididi as a hit. I can do Smith Rowe to Carvalho as a hit. I can do Chris Wood to Delap. I could do Chris Wood to Jamie Vardy. I could do a lot of these things. If it was for free, I'd feel much more comfortable with it. I mean, there are other places I could free up the money, but it feels like Wood and Smith Rowe would be the obvious places to do it. If Luis Diaz looks like he's going to start against Palace, I just have to wait on Palmer and roll a few more transfers and do it for free in a couple of weeks, I think.
I don't think you'll do it for free in a few weeks, though.
Do you not?
I think you'll look at the fixtures and prefer other people.
I think it's possible. Where are we? I think it's possible in game week 9 that I do it. I won't do it away at Liverpool.
Yeah.
But Newcastle at home, United away, I won't. Because the issue is I'm going to have a Luis Diaz problem. It's not like Luis Diaz. is going to be a fine pick going forward. I knew Luis Diaz, when I wildcarded, was going to be one of the first players that I sold on my wildcard anyway. So I'm going to have a Luis Diaz problem, and I know in my mind that the best replacement for Luis Diaz is Palmer, or if Man United get a new manager.
Which could happen in the international break.
And then, I'm sorry, but we have to look at United. We have to look at Fernandes again if they change manager. Like, their fixtures from 8 are so good.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
If they get a new manager, then we have a conversation on Saka.
Yeah, I mean, you could sell Saka against Liverpool, get Palmer against Newcastle.
Yeah.
People saying in the chat, is Forest defence good? Yeah, it is all right, but Palmer is like... There's assets that you don't look at the fixtures for me, and that's Palmer, Haaland, and Salah.
Yeah. So if Man United sat their manager, like I could do Saka to Palmer, Diaz to Bruno.
Garnacho.
I think I'd go Bruno because I just want the pens. And then Chris Wood to Havertz and use my third Arsenal spot there. Like, I don't mind that. Or I could do Trent to... So I built a wild card going into game week 6 that had triple Arsenal defence and Palmer over Saka, and I wish I'd done it. Because I think they'll keep more clean sheets than the rest of the league. So, like, Trent to Saliba, Saka to Palmer, and Luis Diaz to Bruno. It's not a transfer I will ever make, but it looks nice on paper. Right. There was one...
I think you roll. Just...
Yeah. Unless Luis Diaz gets benched, then I make a transfer.
But what? Oh yeah, because it is the early kickoff, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 12:30. So, and if he starts tonight as well, then I will start to have a plan.
Comes off on 60.
Oh, then maybe. It's okay. But yeah, let's see minutes tonight first, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
There was one super chat, and I think it's a really interesting question. Which of these 3 combinations do you like the most? So Luis Diaz and Trent. Foden and Gvardiol, or Palmer and Van der Ven?
Palmer, Van der Ven, without a second thought.
Yeah, I think I'd put them top as well.
Foden, you don't know if he's going to play. Luis Diaz and Trent, you're talking about selling them both. Whereas Palmer, best player in the league and a good 4.5 defender. You know, I may be tempted to swap that with Aït-Nouri or Leif Davis, but
yeah, I
think Palmer's the priority. For sure. Like, there's someone in the chat saying Palmer's reactionary. Cole Palmer is not reactionary. He's been the best FPL asset for the last year.
I think he's a little bit reactionary. No.
But this is not the first time he's done this. This is his third hat-trick in a year.
I think
that's what he does.
So he's joint top for Chelsea hat-trick. Did you know that?
Yeah, and he's only played 39 games.
He's played a fifth of the games of the other 2. I think it's Lampard and Drogba, who have all played over 150 games for us. I don't think Palmer is reactionary at all. I think he's a good asset, and I think we've known that. I think it's the 4 goals has focused our minds on that fact, I think is probably the way I put it.
Yeah, that's probably fair. But at the same time, he's done that before. He's scored 4 goals before. It's not spoken like a Chelsea fan. I'm getting riled up now, so we'll stop. But no one scored more FPL points in the last 12 months than Cole Palmer.
Yeah.
So why would you not want him, basically?
Yeah. I can't dispute you. So we will see what happens with Luis Diaz, and I will decide on what I'm going to do with my team based on that news. I will hopefully roll. But if we don't
Sinaldo in the chat. Super chat from Sinaldo.
Is it? Oh,
he says, big fan of you two. I'm 4.2 million rank. Well, next week he'll be back and he can tell us about how he's gone from 4 million to 1 million in game week 7.
Sinaldo is on the pod next week, and we're going to do a whole segment at the beginning on Sinaldo's season so far, given he's been dodging the pod while he's sat at 4.2 million rank.
He's going to get a massive green arrow this week and come back.
Hopefully this will be the lucky needs. Cool. That is all for this week. Why weren't we talking about Palmer last week?
I own Palmer, so I thought it was a good pick.
And I told you not to captain him. So
yeah, you talked me out of captaining.
I'm knee-jerking on Palmer. But if Luis Diaz doesn't play, it will give me an excuse to go and buy them. Anyway, that is all for this week. There will be the usual Q&A. There will be deadline dilemmas. There will be team news as well on Friday. If you haven't already, please make sure to like the stream, subscribe to the channel, rate it 5-star if you are on podcast as well. Tom, have a lovely rest of your week. Good luck with Cole Palmer again this weekend, and good luck if you don't go Erling Haaland. I hope he scores a hat-trick.
He probably will.
Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely
Cheers,
rest of your week, and we'll see you all very soon.